Alright, what's going on YouTube? We are back with another video. I know it's been quite some time, but I apologize for that. Personal life issues, blah blah blah. Anyway, we are here with Baldur's Gate 3, and I know I'm super late to this as patch 7 has been out for quite some time, but I just wanted to give my overall thoughts on the mod manager, the mods that are available up at this point, the installation process, and how they work in-game. As you know, this channel is focused a lot on mods for single player and multiplayer games, so with one of the games that I feel has been my game of the year for quite some time, Baldur's Gate 3, I wanted to go ahead and check out what Larian has to offer with their own mod manager. So I'll put some timestamps down below if you want to skip through some of the sections of this video, as it may be a little bit longer, as I'm kind of go into a little bit of a deep dive of what is offered within the mod manager and the mods itself. And if you want to kind of skip through and see like in-game, the mod manager itself, so on and so forth. If you do enjoy the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It really does help me out. YouTube BS and all that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Going into the mod manager, it's pretty simple when you first come up and looking into it. You get a couple of mods, I believe, that are just randomly picked out from the list of mods itself. There's 29 pages of mods, which is quite a bit. I've already downloaded a few. Just kind of do some testing to make sure that it did work. So we do have a few mods already installed, but there is quite a bit here to play around with. I will say, with on first impression of actually like coming to the mod page itself, it is a little cluttered, in the sense that it's not really well presented on what you're looking out for. Obviously, there is a filter, which is probably what would be best to start using. I do like how it is broken down into the type of mods it is, such as cheats, classes, customization, dyes, so on and so forth. And if you want to go down, you can break that down even further with character customization for dyes, eye color, makeup, so on and so forth, classes, races, things of that nature. So the actual breakdown of the filter is actually pretty good. I just don't like how the presentation of the mod manager is with how they're presenting mods. So take a look at one of the mods here. One pretty simple. NPC hairstyles for Tav, which is the main created character. Put some of the hairs used by NPCs into other character creators for Tav to use. So hairs like Shadowheart, Carlax, so on and so forth will probably be on this list here. So if you like some of the hair that you've seen in game and wanted to put that for yourself, this is a good mod to download. We're actually going to download that with the rest of our mods here. Just kind of see like the download process. As you can see here, you'll get a sign here that the mod's been downloaded, so you don't have to stay on the page. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look, breaking down into some of the categories here, some of the filters. So we'll go ahead and start with some of the cheats. Cheat guidance, which is basically modified guidance to 120-meter radius. So basically, just kind of makes like makes guidance a little bit better than it already is. But again, these mods are just sort of give you advantage in the game itself. I typically don't use a lot of cheat mods, to be honest. There are some that are more classified as like quality of life, but I typically don't use like a lot of the cheat mods. But it just basically breaks it down to all the mods that are available that are classified as cheats, and lets you kind of pick and see what's available. Same thing with classes. You can go through different types of filters here. So if you want like cheats that are under classes or under customization, you can do so. Here we'll just take a look at some of the classes. Debuffer class. I wish there was a way to... I know there is actually. So say that you're only playing in English. So you can come down here to the languages and then English. And that should only give you the classes that are marked as English. Or if you play in Russian or whatever, any other language. So that way you're not siphoning through mods that are not for your correct language or region. So anyway. So you have a couple ones here. Charismatic Wizards, which makes it so the Charisma stat is the Wizard's main spellcasting stat, which, again, these are more just preference. I probably wouldn't do something like that. But if you wanted to make, like, Paladins use Intelligence or Wisdom instead of, I think, Constitution, I think is their main stat, you can do that as well to kind of, like, cherry pick your starting class. There are some buffs here, such as the Sorcerer buff. This... I know it's like the uploaders, it's part of the uploaders thing to do, that it doesn't really give like any sense of what actually the mod does, and it doesn't have any like pictures or anything, so that is something I hope they start quality checking in the future, that you have to actually put like what the mod does, or like add images and stuff, because just having something like that doesn't really help. And so this actually makes a lot more sense for Wild Magic. Increase the chances to trigger Wild Magic with spells by 25% on rolls 16 to 20. Add lower chance to trigger Wild Magic with cantrips. So like something like this would be a lot more viable to have uploaded here because it gives a description of what it actually does rather than just adding something. So, again, it just kind of like overall first impressions of mods and stuff. And then you have some classes here, which obviously these aren't all the classes that are available. These are just some that are available on the mod manager itself, because obviously you can go over to Nexus and get more mods, more mod classes and stuff like that. I did test this, and it does work. However, it doesn't work with the outfits that are starting with. So like it has like weird textures whenever creating a character, but the mod itself does work, and I'll take a look into that once we get in game. Witch class, which is something that I've dabbled with, I believe you are able to specialize in three different playstyles: Herbalist, Hex Witches, and Frost Witches. Now, there is another witch class that's on Nexus that allows you to transform into a hag. So it'll be interesting if you try to like do those two mods at the same time. They probably overlap each other. And then the Mystic class, which is a very, very like in-depth class that I'll probably make a separate video for. Seems like there's a lot that you can do because there's a lot of subclasses, a lot of options that you can pick. But I installed a couple of mods to go into the game and just kind of like showcase. There's also dice if you want to like get like custom dices, if you will. So like Underdark, we'll download that. Shar's dice, I'll show those in game as well, and so on and so forth. The mod manager itself is not bad. It gets the job done in terms of presentation. Again, some small tweaks visually would be nice, just to make it a little bit more visually appealing. But it does get the job done in regards to like looking up mods and finding which ones you like and downloading those. I will say one thing that's actually pretty cool here is if you go under installed, it will show you when a mod needs to be updated. So if you go ahead and press the update button, it should update the mod to the latest version of the game, or if the mod author has published an update. So it's really intuitive to actually check this here to make sure like no other mods need to update. Because if you don't update, there could be issues, compatibility issues with either like your save data or the latest version of the game to where it might not work. So I think that's actually pretty cool that it gives you a prompt here to update each mod itself. So, and the one thing that's going to be really good about this is that because it's like Larian's in-house like mod manager, the mods that are uploaded here typically will be compatible with the latest version of the game. So you don't have to worry about waiting until mods are updated as long as you did with like Nexus mods to whenever Larian updates the game, and then you have to wait for the mods to be updated on Nexus. It should be like a faster process coming into the mod manager itself rather than going through like Nexus, through Vortex, so on and so forth. But a lot of options here, and you do have the ability to upload different screenshots if you so choose, which is really good. So you actually get to see what you're getting yourself into whenever you download some of these mods. So these like the P4 Dragonborn scales. So if you want like more customization for Dragon scales, which is actually pretty cool. This is actually a pretty cool option here if you want to do that. So. But I do have a couple of mods installed, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in-game. The first part, I'm going to go into the character creator, so that way I can kind of show off some of the character creator options that you have with these subclasses, and then I'm going to actually load up a save game, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some of the other mods that I have installed to make sure that they do work. Alright, so here we are at the character creator, very beginning of the game, obviously. So for races, I've downloaded 2 races. One is the Kautai, which I mentioned earlier, is that it works. However, you're going to see here that the body part stretching happens whenever you select a custom class, or not custom class. Sorry, whenever selecting any of the classes, just because the armor doesn't necessarily work for the body type. So it once you get in game, you can definitely strip off the armor and stuff like that, or you can have it where it doesn't show up, but that is going to be an issue when you come to the character creator. You're going to be met with this here. Now, I believe one way you can fix that is if you, I believe you can strip off the clothing somehow to where you can show like the clothing not visible. That is an option that you can do, but just for the sake of this video, we're not gonna be using that race. But it does seem to load into the game correctly. Another race that I installed to kind of test out is the Gensai or the Genesai, which are essentially genies and mortals that are pretty much part of like the 4 elements in the game. We have fire, air, earth, and water. Now, I don't like their cantrips off the back just because there's much better cantrips that you can use. And I figured like these would be like more of like your sorcerer or mage class and stuff like that. Obviously being more, you know, either intellect or I'm sorry, intelligence or charisma or wisdom based characters. Like you probably choose like wizard or sorcerer or something like that. But I feel like the basic cantrips or the starting cantrips that they get could be a little bit better. Like produce flame is not bad, but for the air, I would like to see something maybe along the lines of like one of the monk subclasses where you get like a, you know, gust of air or like push or pull or something. Not necessarily lightning, earth. There got to be something in Blade Ward as a cantrip. I get the gist of it as it's kind of like more defensive in terms of like encasing your body with rock or something. And then water, they definitely could have done something better than acid splash. Again, this is just my opinion on like the actual like setup of the race itself, but I do like the general idea of it. And I do like the look of each one of the races. So again, that's just a small nitpick. But anyway, those do work. And then of course we have the Dragonborn, which we have a bunch of subclasses here. I think all of these are vanilla subclasses, but we can customize it further with some of the body types and stuff. So we'll take a look at that here. Matter of fact, we'll go ahead and do the dragon. You know what? We'll do a human because I do have like a lot of customization options as well for humans. But I do have some subclasses as well. I believe 6 in total. For whatever reason, the Psionic doesn't start with armor, which is a little weird. But I do like the general idea of this class. Although you do start off with not a lot of good spells. Seems like they're going to be like a lot of like psionic abilities. But we will go a little bit deeper into these classes once we load up our save game, because we'll be a little bit higher level. We have the Phoenix Bear, which is sort of a mix between a warrior and a mage. Sort of like a hybrid class in one. So some of the spells that they can choose, such as Burning Hands, Smearing Smite, Hellish Rebuke, so on and so forth. So sort of like a hybrid class, like Flame and Warrior hybrid class, which would be pretty interesting to play through. Other ones I have are the Favorite Soul, which is sort of close to a cleric, but has an easier time casting magic, from my understanding, from the description. Cantrips are about the same as clerics. So you could probably go into this this class a little bit more, I guess, more damage heavy. Again, this is something I'll have to like test out whenever playing through the game itself. But I did like the idea of the class itself. And again, the purpose of this is to kind of like see if it loads in properly without any issues. We also do have Blood Mage, which is a pretty interesting class. It is a Blood Mage where you have to use like your health to cast certain magic, but I did a little bit of testing, and at least for me, this cantrip, Blood Siphon, just did not work properly. Maybe because it was so low level, it just didn't work, but I'll test it out at higher levels. But yeah, it seems like this this spell was not really effective. Blood Bolt was hit and miss. Like, it did apply the acid effect, but didn't do any damage on contact. So, again, another spell class that's pretty interesting, but I did have some issues with it as well with the ability points. Maybe it's the mod itself, it needs to be updated, but it seems like there's no option for me to pick the ability point modifiers to it. So there may still need to be some adjustments to this as well for the ability modifiers, because it seems like this isn't done properly. The last two I have is the Witch class, which I talked about a little bit earlier, which seems pretty interesting in itself, and probably some of the subclasses later on. Specializes into like Herbalist, Frost Mage, I believe there was another one as well, or Witch, I'm sorry. Again, these are good. I'll take a look at more of these in maybe future videos, or this video kind of taking a look at see what it looks like from like level 1 to level 12, and maybe do like a breakdown of their abilities. But the gist of this seems to be working now. This actually does work with the ability score, the proficiency ability score, so I can actually use these properly in order to buff up how I want. So if I was to do this class, I'd probably do Intelligence and Wisdom as like my two main scores. Put these at 10. Maybe have a little bit more Constitution. Probably something along this line. Maybe not as much as charisma. Probably something along the lines of this. Probably is how it would go. And then in terms of skills, probably something along the lines of skills like this. And then the last class I have is the Mystic class, which, as I mentioned before, this class seems to be like really well done and really in depth. There's so many options here that you can pick from psionic talents, which are this class's cantrips. Definitely a lot to choose from to kind of customize your own character how you want. You have psionic talents, which even give you more options here with the Crown of Disgust, or like if you choose to do like Mantle of Courage or Fear or Air. There's a lot here that you can choose from, and to go into this would take its own video in itself, but because it also depends on what subclass you pick and what disciplines you pick. There's a lot to this class to where it would take me forever to go through every single option here, but this is a class that I'll probably do like a separate video for, because I definitely want to see how this class plays out and see like which one would be like probably like some of the best and worst out of the combinations. I also see that it can't go up to level 14, so I don't know if there's another mod that needs to be installed in order to increase that level to 14 instead of 12, which is the base game's cap. But again, a lot of options to pick here from immortal disciplines, things like that. So, but in this case, we are going to just go show off a little bit of the customization, as we do have some customization options. We do have the faces of, I think, Farum, the faces of Farum, which gives like a couple of face options for custom characters. And these can be used for all races. So if you wanted to have one of these faces for like a human or elf or Geth class, or I'm sorry, Geth race, you can. And they typically work with like the scars. Body art, we have a couple of additional tattoos at the bottom, which comes from Lemon's, I think it's Lemon's tattoo. I think this is tattoo 1. I know there's 5 in total that you can download, but you don't have one at a time on the mod manager. Now, I believe these are also available on Nexus, where you can probably download multiple ones. The reason that these are coming up as question marks is just because I don't think this has been updated to the latest version of the improved UI. Sometimes that does happen to where it doesn't show like an image of what it is, but it still works in itself of being able to pick through and take a look at the new tattoos that are installed. One thing I wish is that there was a mod that allows you to install multiple tattoos at once, because it seems like there's a lot of cool ones here that you can mix and match. And as far as I know, there isn't an ability to do so. Now, I could be wrong, and there definitely is an option to install multiple tattoos at once. And if there is, please someone let me know, because I would like to have like maybe like this neck tattoo with a face tattoo or something. I think that would be pretty cool to have. And then like a couple of piercings. You see here some new earrings. So that's actually coming in pretty good in terms of like the mod itself. Some new earring options. Do have some new eye options as well, in order to use if we wanted to go with undead eyes or something like that. Again, I'm just briefly going through here to show that these mods are working within the mod manager. And then any issues that do come up in this overall first impressions. So this isn't like a really incomprehensible, in-depth like guide to everything. This is just kind of like a first impressions overview. All right, we'll just go with that. And then we do have some new makeup options from same pack of Lemon's tattoos. They also come with new makeup options, which again, we'd nice to be able to combine multiple ones. I don't know if there's a mod for that, but I think that'd be pretty cool to be able to combine just multiple tattoos. And then we do have some new hair options, some from NPCs, as you can see, like some of the NPC options that we have. which is nice to have. I mean, as you can see, we can get Shadowheart's haircut if you like Shadowheart's hairstyle. So a lot of good options here to just give your character more depth in order to create the character that you want within the game. So definitely a lot more than the vanilla options give you, and these actually do have previews to them, which is always nice. So you can actually see like a little bit of what it may look like before clicking on the character itself. See, I can even get Jaehaerys hair, which I actually do like a lot. It's probably one of my favorite hairstyles in the game is Jaehaerys. And they would like add that to the game for your own custom character. I think it's pretty cool. Do more highlight options if you want like a specific color. And then facial hair if you want facial hair. So yeah, if we want to create this character, we can. Obviously, we're not going to. We're going to load into an actual game itself. And then I'm going to show off some of the other options for the custom classes that I have to make sure that their level progression actually does work. But I just wanted to quickly show off the character customization to show that it does actually work. You know, we'll actually proceed forward just to make sure the character loads into the game. All right. So it seems like we have our character load into the game. Starting equipment, spear. Cool. Okay. So actually our character does load into the game. Seems to be no issues there. I am going to save this, and then we are going to load into a different game, and I'm going to show off some of the other character classes and subclasses that I did install to kind of like give like a little bit more of an overview to make sure that those work properly. All right, so we're inside of a loaded save now, just like a loaded save that I downloaded, just to have it like towards the end of Act 3. And we're actually going to go through the witch class to make sure that we can pick the subclasses properly and everything kind of works as it should be with installing this mod. So we're just going to select a couple of spells here. Doesn't really matter which ones. We're going to go with Colorful Spray. Make sure the abilities. Let's see. Pretty have high strength. But you don't need high charisma, honestly. So we'll go with this for now. All right. So now we have the ability to level up this character. So let's go ahead and take a look. Cool. All right. So level 2, we actually have the ability to select our subclass, which we have the herbalist, an expert in nature remedies, able to cure all wounds, powerful herbalist that can use their witchcraft to temporarily take the form of beast. Oh, okay. You can brew 2 alchemic solutions instead of 1 when combined extracts if you can see a DC 15 medicine check. That's pretty cool. Frost Witch, a mountain dwelling witch specializing in frost magic, gain resistance to cold magic, taking only half damage from it, and you get some new spells. Melva's Frosted Bolts, barrage of 3 magical bolts dealing 2d4 plus 1 damage, costs 1 witchcraft potion in addition to spell slots. Oh, so you have to actually craft potions with some of these spells. Interesting. Okay. And then Ice Knife, which I think is pretty standard. And then you have Hex Witch, vengeful caster that wreaks havoc wherever she goes. Bend of Luck, give a target 1d4 bonus or penalty to attack rolls, saving throws, or ability checks, 2 sorcery points. So if you choose this, you actually have sorcery points. Okay. So I'm going to go with Frost Witch. Lesser Water seems like the choice here. Some new spells. Or actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll do this. I guess this really doesn't matter per se. And now we have some passives. Witchcraft. Allies automatically succeed saving throws against spells that require them. Distance. So it seems like it's using a lot of the sorcerer's subclass. Spell that only target one creature can target additional creature. You can cast spells while silenced. That's actually pretty strong. Double to conditions effects. Twin spell sounds pretty good. So it seems like it's taking like it's taking stuff from the sorcerer class. Choose some more spells. Okay, so it seems like at least this class, for the most part, seems to be leveling up properly. You can cast Speak the Dead without extending a spell slot. When you or an ally gets hit with acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage, you can cast a reaction to take half the attack's damage. This creature can see within magical darkness. It's actually pretty good for some of the game. I'm going to do Dampen Elements. Okay, so it seems like it does seem to level up properly, and we're not having any issues like selecting spells or anything like that. So that is good. That is good to know. And then, well, of course, we get our ability scores here. So overall, I can say that at least from the mods that we've installed and we're testing out right now, they seem to all install properly. Now, of course, this is subject to, you know, doing a full playthrough, run that at your own risk whenever installing these mods. But it seems like, at least from the mods and the mod manager, they do work properly, as long as they're updated properly. Now, that being said, you can use mods from the mod manager as well as mods from Nexus. But there could be some compatibility issues, which I wouldn't know who to contact if you do run into that. I would assume there's not really much you can do in terms of contacting someone for support, because you're using a mod that's not officially supported by Larian, and then you're using a mod that the mod author from Nexus may not have installed within their game when creating the mod. So I would say if you're going to use both mods, that you know what you're doing and that you are aware of how to troubleshoot and fix mods yourself if you're going to install both mods from the mod manager as well as mods from Nexus. But overall, I think we can say that this does install correctly. Not seeming to have any issues in terms of installing the mods here. Now, in getting to actual combat, I would say that'd probably be safe for another video, as this one is a little bit longer than anticipated. But I think from what we've seen so far, the mod does install properly. You regain maximum hit points when healing. That's actually pretty good. Once per turn, if you kill a creature with a spell, you gain hit points equal to twice the spell slot used. Thrice if it's a necromancy spell. Undead and constructs are unaffected. While you're hitting, your targets have a disadvantage. So if I was to be more of a healer, like if I was like actually combine this with like a cleric and heal more, I'd probably get this. But if I'm going for more straight up damage, I'm going to do a Grim Harvest. Grim Harvest seems a little bit more worth it. But there you go. So now we've upgraded our character level 9. Obviously the weapons I'm using probably aren't proficient with it, but still, just to kind of show that we can in fact level up a modded character within the game itself. So I think that kind of shows that the mods do work properly. Obviously this is just a random character that I have. It's not my particular character. So I would, you know, switch it up a little bit. Obviously not having shields and stuff and all that. Heavy armor, I would have to switch over to like light armor, so on and so forth. So something like this probably would be a lot more, or no, light armor. So I have to find like some light armor. But the gist of it is that the mods do work. That I can actually go into a game, start up a new game, or if I wanted to have like a game that I've already playing through, but I want to try out a different class, I can respec and try out that class. Fortunately, I don't have any armor that I can use to showcase some spells, but I'll do that in maybe a future video if you guys are interested in it. But overall, I think the mod manager works as intended. Small gripes that I may have on it is just like visually. It just doesn't look as good as I would like. I would also like to see a mod manager menu within game as well. I think that'd be really cool to kind of check and see what mods you do have installed instead of like exiting the game, going back to the mod manager, coming back into the game, so on and so forth. I think that's also something that could be taken into consideration whenever providing updates for the mod managers. To have an in-game option in order to adjust mods if necessary. Well, not really adjust. I know it'd be hard to adjust while in game, but just kind of check and see what mods are installed to troubleshoot as well. But overall, that's just kind of like my thoughts and quick overlook of the mod manager section of patch 7. Now, there are other stuff that is included, such as legendary enemies, changes to honor mode, new endings, and stuff like that. I don't know if I'll be able to cover every single change that's been part of patch 7, as it's been insane. It's probably one of the biggest patches that's came out for Baldur's Gate 3. But I did want to cover at least this subsection of it because I do run a channel that primarily takes a look at mods for games. And as I mentioned before, Baldur's Gate 3 becoming one of my favorite games of all time. I definitely wanted to check out and see what mods are, how mods are being supported in an official capacity. So if you liked the video, if you like it, dislike it if you disliked it, let me know what you guys think. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.